Well, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Um, my love language is Akka.net releases. And every time I tell that to my wife, she rolls her eyes at me. Oh, that would have been better if I was able to pump in some studio audience laugh track there or whatever. But anyway, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Gregorius, how are you doing? And you're currently muted right now, by the way. Uh, oh boy. Hey Gregorius, good to have you back. Did
Yeah.
did
Streamer
StreamYard?
just kicked me out. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's okay. I made a pretty awesome Valentine's Day joke, and you weren't here to laugh at it. Hurt my feelings. That's okay. Um,
Sorry about that.
nope, all good. Good to have you back. Okay, so it is Valentine's Day. We're gonna go ahead and kick things off by talking a bit about recent happenings in the Akka.net community. So we got some Akka.net releases as well as a couple of other just general things happening inside the community right now. So the first thing I'm going to kind of dive into actually is stuff I was tweeting about yesterday. We actually did a pretty major unplanned Phobos release yesterday. So Phobos, if you're not aware, is our proprietary sort of like open telemetry instrumentation for Akka.net. So costs $4,000 a year. You can go and buy it with a credit card from the Phobos website if you want. But we do have quite a number of customers that are using it. And we have been persistently over the past year trying to improve the performance impact that Phobos has on live running Akka.net applications. I think at one point in time, Phobos, I think, was 1/10 as fast as Akka.net. And that's because tracing and metrics come with a bit of per message overhead that can be quite expensive. Well, through three different releases we've done since like July of last year, I think we've managed to boost Phobos's performance by 300%. So now Phobos is only about half as fast as Akka.net. So we went ahead and produced a new release here. And so Phobos is about, let's say, this is actually a leftover from previous releases, though, so I copied and pasted. Whoops. Um, basically, it is 41% faster, not 62% faster. 62 came from this down here. But Phobos 2.5, yeah, pretty major performance improvements. You can see here with 2.45, the most recent version prior to this, we were doing like 2.1 million messages per second on average. Now we're doing about 3 million messages per second on average. That's a pretty big improvement. That's all on .NET 7. If you go to our .NET 8 performance numbers here, which you can find on the Phobos performance impact page, if you scroll down here, we are doing about 3.4 to 3.5 million messages per second. Whereas Akka.net with Phobos installed but not currently turned on does about 7.2 million. So we're at about 50% of sort of the performance and throughput there. So that's pretty good. So we've made some pretty massive performance improvements to that. On top of that, we're able to reduce the amount of memory that Phobos produces inside your actors by 83%. It's one of the reasons why it's so much faster. All those allocations now get deferred to the open telemetry processing pipeline. So they still happen, but they happen completely out of band with your application. So the garbage collection impact on your actors will be very minimal at best. So that's a pretty big set of improvements there. We'll probably do a more lengthy blog post and some of that stuff and how we did it later. The technique, by the way, that we described in this blog post here that we did back in, I think this was July timeframe. Let me scroll down to the bottom. I think we did this, July 21st last year. The technique that we've been using over and over again for all these performance improvements is called deferred allocation, where basically you move object allocation that can be kind of expensive out of the hot path and have it occur asynchronously at somewhere else in the future. We changed in Akka.net 1.5 our logging system to work this way. It already kind of did work this way before, even going back to like the earliest beta versions of Akka.net. But Akka.net 1.5 really stepped it up a notch and was able to move 100% of its allocations to outside of your actor's critical hot path. Microsoft.extensions.logging uses this technique as well, and so does the actual official C# open telemetry implementation. So we'll go ahead and probably do a blog post on how this technique works. It's a really good way to try to make sure that only the most necessary allocations actually happen on the critical path, and everything else can get deferred or scheduled to kind of run outside of it. And that's a really useful performance optimization technique that we've used very successfully. So that was one thing we wanted to cover. Ecco, who's actually given we'll go ahead and link to it in the show notes after this live stream airs. But Ecco has actually given a community stand-up presentation before on their usage of Akka.net inside their analytics system. Ecco's if you've never owned a pair of their shoes, they're a big shoe manufacturer. I personally have owned a pair for many years. They're very comfortable, really nice, high quality leather. But they went ahead and they wrote a blog post that they published on LinkedIn about an open source project they've created for doing streaming with Akka.net and Kubernetes. So Akka.Streams is the underlying backing technology down here. I'm not going to read everything in here word for word, but I do want to talk about this section here real briefly, streaming with the actor model and Akka.net Streams. So they have, as I mentioned here, 700 different data sources. They're doing like live streaming analytics for their, basically sort of a back office sort of operations here, trying to figure out maybe where retail is happening inside their network, what SKUs are being bought, all that sort of stuff. Well, they go ahead and they talk quite a bit about how they're able to leverage Akka.Streams graphs here and the fundamental rate of design and some of the, different, sort of facets of Akka.net that they use. But the thing I really want to hone in on is the actual end-to-end performance they're getting while they're processing these large live data sets really quickly with Akka.Streams. So, for instance, here, they're basically taking a single streams. This is a single Akka.net process processing 110,000 rows. Now, these are fairly, I think when George, the author here, was explaining this, these are multi-dimensional, like fairly big multi-dimensional rows. Let's say they have, I don't know, dozens of columns inside of it, like 28 columns or so. And all this data needs to be ingested and fed through their actual processing pipeline and turned into usable data. So a single process was able to go ahead and process that in approximately 12 hours. That's really good numbers for them. But it was also able to go ahead and do this with a very low amount of CPU utilization and a very low amount of memory. So it's operating on right around 100 megabytes of memory the entire time it's doing this. And it's operating at well under, it says on average here, 4% CPU utilization. So very, very resource efficient. And they have more data and more examples in here. I'll drop a link to this specific post in chat. I think we also tweeted it out and put it into the Discord room. But that is something that you might go ahead and find really valuable. If you're interested in looking at using Akka.Streams at your company, this is a real good production use case and kind of shows something that I've experienced myself with Akka.Streams, how amazingly resource efficient it is, even in very low latency or very high demand scenarios. So it's a very robust sort of piece of technology from that respect. Let's see. Akka.net 1.516. So we implemented a number of different things inside of here. One big fix that we introduced, if I go and pull up the release notes here, was, yes, this nasty little bug. This has been in the Akka.net test kit for, I think, since its inception. But long and the short of it, the way watch and unwatch were designed inside the test kit is they are actually secret asynchronous methods. So even though you think you are basically synchronously setting a watch on an actor, that actually still has to run in the background. Therefore, you don't necessarily know for certain whether or not this actor has actually finished processing that watch command before maybe you begin your next set of instructions that might result in the actor's termination. We determined that this issue was responsible for not all of these. We have a number of racy tests in the Akka.net suite, and this isn't responsible for all of them, but it was certainly responsible for some really atrocious ones that had pretty high flip rates. So we were able to nip this in the bud. This bug also will definitely affect your test kit tests if you're using Deathwatch with the test kit in there. So would strongly recommend upgrading for that reason. The other major thing that we did is, Gregorius, this was your pet project. You introduced a couple of new Akka analyzer rules. Let me go ahead and grab Let me go ahead and grab that real quick. Let's see. Go ahead and look up analyzers. There we go. Okay.
Yes. So we added two new rules to analyzers. Well, the first one is AK1002, which stops you from calling self that graceful stop inside receive async or receive any async. That is because that will actually create a deadlock that prevents the actor itself from shutting down.
Yep, that's right.
The mhm. The next rule is AK1003, which is a warning that will notify you if you're calling receive async or receive any async with a delegate that is not being awaited, because that is actually not a performant way of using receive async and receive any async.
Yeah, and the reason why it's not performant is it basically creates a little like hidden await call inside your code when you do this. And that's going to result in the Akka actor suspending its mailbox and then sending itself one of those continuation messages behind the scenes. So it's gonna basically just disrupt your actor's message processing. And now if you only have one actor that has like this problem in it inside your system, that's probably not the end of the world. But imagine for a moment this is an entity actor and you're running like several thousand of them at a given time. That's going to become a much more expensive problem, cumulatively speaking. So that's why it doesn't do anything super harmful in terms of like affecting the functionality of your actor, but it does create some lag, and that's why Gregorius picked that one to go ahead and flag with an analyzer rule. If you go to the Akka.net website, by the way, go to getaka.net, and if you scroll down to this new section we added earlier this year, debugging Akka.net, you'll see a list of all of our analyzer rules right here. In fact, I think I'm not actually seeing the new rules on here, which makes me wonder if I need to purge our
Mm.
Cloudflare cache for getaka.net. That might be the problem here. Nope, I see them now. Looks like, you know what it looks like, Gregorius? Looks like we didn't add them to the talk.yaml here. Because if you look here, you do see
Oh,
them. So,
yeah.
yep. Whoops, that's okay. Hey, we're debugging Akka.net in real time with our community watching us do it. So yeah, no worries. That's an easy fix. So yeah, we need to go ahead and basically just update the talk.yaml. But anyway, you can see the rule definitions here. If you get flagged with any one of these analyzer warnings inside your app or analyzer errors in your own apps, it'll link you back to this page with a full explanation of the cause and the resolution. So we are trying to be utmost professionals when it comes to all this stuff. So yeah. Um, as Sean put it, if I had $1 for every time I did that and the end unit docs. Yes, it is this is a persistent doc effects sort of, let's say, forgetfulness issue on our part. Yep. And indeed, sharing is caring during a live stream. So I really would love to get back to doing some more of my like Twitch programming streams at some point. It's been a thing I've been wanting to get back to, but haven't quite been able to make time yet. Last thing I guess we'll go ahead and touch on as far as current Akka stuff goes is that you might have seen our blog post announcing major changes to Petabridge's support offerings and training courses. I won't rehash all of that. We've got another YouTube video that we published to the Petabridge channel on Friday that you can take a look at that covers it in more detail than I'm going to say here. But the basic gist of it is that we retired all of our old training courses that we've been offering since 2015. Those courses were great. They served their purpose, but they were kind of dated, and a lot of the information in them was pretty commoditized as a result of just more and more people in the community kind of learning how Akka.net works. So we figured it was time to offer some new stuff. So if you take a look at our training page today, these all link directly to the GoToWebinar registration page. We have a bunch of new courses that are available. These courses are only available for people who've purchased an Akka.net support plan. So if you want to attend these courses and you have a support plan, great. Go ahead and register, and our team will go ahead and approve your registration and get you sorted out there. The new training plans, the new support plans that we offer include unlimited training seats for your entire company. So your company can have all of its Akka developers attend all of these if you wanted to. And we also include unlimited support incidents. So if you want to learn more about that, you should definitely go to our website. You'll go ahead and see this link up here, and that'll give you a link to our blog post. But the new training courses that we do have, Akka.net end-to-end application design training, that's kind of our half-day long sort of successor course for our design patterns. We also have an Akka.Streams course that we offer now, and a much more practical Akka clustering course, which is mostly about using cluster sharding, using Akka.Cluster.Delivery, using distributed pub sub. It's very laser focused on like trying to be productive with Akka.Cluster. There's less theory on how clusters form and that sort of stuff in there. Now, one thing I wanted to mention about training is this isn't going to be the end of the story this year as far as our training courses go. These are just meant to be kind of replacements for our live webinar trainings, and we're going to continue to offer these so people have a chance to interact with me and ask questions live about their specific issues they're running into. But one thing we're also intending to do, and we're starting work on this project probably at the beginning of March, is we are redoing the Petabridge website in its entirety. And we are going to be offering more basically self-paced learning courses that will be available for free. So no support plan needed for those. They'll be kind of similar to Akka.net Bootcamp, but probably with a lot more video instruction to kind of go along with it. So we're planning on making those available. It'll probably take us, we'll start in March, and my guess is it'll probably take 2 to 3 months for us to be able to deliver the updated website plus our first few sets of courses. But that's kind of the next big project that we're working on in order to try to make sure that people can get what they need out of Akka.net. We had mentioned this, I think, after we did our developer survey last year, that feedback was basically all kind of pointing out that we needed to improve our learning materials and our code samples and our documentation. So you can kind of consider us delivering on that promise with this stuff here is what we're trying to do. So we're trying to go ahead and provide more material that's more self-paced, more kind of do it yourself, doesn't cost anything. And that'll complement our webinar training is what's going to be covered there. So we'll be doing kind of a little bit of both over the course of the next couple of years here. And we'll plan on expanding our course catalog periodically over the course of this year. So that's coming down the pike in the next quarter or so. Finally, we have some work that we are engaging in with Akka.net 1.57. We also have a couple of other little random things here. In fact, let me put up my upcoming Akka.net releases banner. So the first big thing that we are working on, I know, Gregorius, you just got back from vacation today, so I apologize for putting you on the spot here. But we are in the process of doing even more test kit fixes. We have definitely found some more suspicious stuff inside the test suite for Akka.net that we think might be endemic to potentially end user applications as well. So we're working on that. We're working on some Akka.Cluster sharding delivery fixes as well to try to improve robustness there. We're also potentially are playing around with the system dispatcher to some extent. We think this might be what's behind some of the flaky tests in the test suite. So we're going to be experimenting with that some more. And then we've got more Akka analyzer rule sets. We're going to keep adding to these over the course of like the next several years, the analyzer rule sets. It's kind of like getting rich by saving money. It's not going to happen all at one go, but gradually over time, as we continue to go ahead and add more rule sets, as we find more ways to use Roslyn to kind of help guide our users towards the pit of success, so to speak, I think that you will see the full benefit of this over a long period of time. So that's something that we are planning on doing. Other little releases that we have planned. I know, Gregorius, you and I are in the middle of trying to get a message pack serializer update shipped. We have not updated the... Let me go ahead and pull this up real quick. Go to NuGet.org here. I don't think we've done a message pack serializer update in... Let's take a guess. Well, I guess we're both liars, Gregorius. We managed to get this one out 41 minutes ago. Oh, only the benchmarks project went out. So, whoops. Huh. You know what? I know what the problem is. The message pack, yes. This NuGet package belongs to the Akka.net Contrib NuGet organization. I need to move it over to the new one. Whoops. So that's what's going on here, is that we actually just need to kind of move this. But yeah, we have not updated this since like September 2017. New version of that should be coming out in the next day or so. No No problem, Andrew. This was actually our fault that we did this. We needed to just rearrange some stuff inside our NuGet account. So we'll take care of that. And I'll hide this one since we don't want people basically installing the benchmark.net suite for message pack. So we'll do that. We also are going to get an Akka hosting release out, and we'll probably get a couple of other various plugin releases out too. I know there's some work going on Akka.Persistent SQL right now, for instance. So lots of good stuff happening all around the ecosystem. So yeah, stay tuned. Keep following us in Discord. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel if you're not already. But always, thank you very much to the Akka.net community for your support. Gregorius and I and Andrew and all the other contributors couldn't do this without the support and help of people like you who submit issues, buy products from Petabridge, go ahead and provide reproductions, submit pull requests, and generally speaking, just help promote the project. All of you help us tremendously every month. We really appreciate it. And that's all I've got for this week. Gregorius, did I leave anything out?
No, I think you covered it all.
All right. Well, in that case, we'll see you all in March. We are looking for more show and tell speakers. So if you're interested on sharing your company's story about what you're doing with Akka.net, please go ahead and reach out to me. I'm Aaron on the web, on Discord, and on Twitter. And we'll be happy to line you up, more than happy to line you up, and maybe send you some free Akka.net swag as recompense for telling your story. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a good rest of your day.